it's so powerful hearing everyone share too. I don't know, you get something that you don't even get from reading the books. It's, I mean, Jeff, even when you were talking about that scene, driving Tamara's burial with the sun setting and the moon coming up. I mean, it's, I can just feel how you just, I can lean back and feel like I'm there. And I don't know, it's just, you don't even get it that powerfully from a book. But when somebody's sharing it, it's like you feel like you got to live that too. And it's I don't know, it affects, I don't know how affected everybody is. I'm sure pretty powerfully, but I just wanted to say how deeply I'm touched by the sharing. It's, especially as a young Baba lover, I was never able to be around, any of these things in India, and it's like we get to live it through you and everybody that shares. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
that.
And I think that you're able to feel the person's is sort of reliving it, and you're feeling their love, and that love is so palatable. You can just feel it, with all the stories, and that's what's you're right about the sharing.
Yeah. I always like personal accounts more than the chronicle of Baba's life. Say the God Man is kind of the chronicle of Baba's life, but Kitty's book kind of is a personal camera angle on it, and even though it's through someone's eyes, it I find more touching than the objective view, so to speak.
Yeah.
The factual thing, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the book that brought
That's the book that stopped her
Yeah, that stopped her dead in her tracks.
video.
What I find also with these sharing meetings is that, the tiny stories get grouped together. These tiny stories of like, oh, so and so dropped me off at the airport. Oh, that's never going to end up in a book. Who's going to write that, so and so met so and so and dropped him off at the airport? But like, that personal touch of an actual person, it's conveyed in a very different way.
I see Ken Nunsig there and his story about just through, complete, seemingly fortuitous, he winds up, when we were talking about, the master, Harry Kenmore reciting the master's prayer, and then he comes in with that story where he walks right into the full blast of the master's prayer with Harry coming right back from seeing Baba. I mean, just amazing.
When you guys were sharing about Harry the other day, we were driving back. We went to this little beach town on the, it's not really a beach, it's out on the salt marshes on the Gulf Coast, this place, Cedar Key. And I could barely get a signal out there. And the signal came in at this area off the side of the road. Like while I was driving, I noticed, like, oh my God, there's 3 bars we can listen. And I pulled over next to the most beautiful scene of the coastal marshes with the tidal creeks coming in. And I sat there for over 2 hours and just, it was so powerful. The whole drive back, I could feel like I was just in that space of being around him, through what you shared, Jeff, and everybody else. And just these little moments, just, I feel like we're getting a direct infusion of that, that place and time and Baba's advent just coming right to us, through you guys.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's still coming through. I mean, all these guys are still there. I mean, where they're going to go? They're not going to the heaven state. They're not going to the hell state. They're just there. I mean, I even think if Darwin is still here, he's probably, where could he go? His awareness is awakened, so he's got to be attending all these things. I mean,
Laughing at us.
looking at us, and I mean, when you reach that certain stage, your dying isn't shutting down your awareness. It probably opens it all the more, so you get to see. They're probably up there watching you know, they're probably watching this Zoom with a lot more sets in front of them. And we're down here watching our Zoom, and they're watching us watching the Zoom.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I do, you know, in relating to Darwin, you know, you related outwardly to Darwin, in my experience, and also you relate inwardly to Darwin, because he was kind of at an inner level. So when the outer level drops away, the inner level just continues, you know, and he doesn't. Where did he go? Where could he go? You know. So it's kind of beautiful. I have this poem that I don't think I've read this poem here for Effort and Grace. I've read it on other occasions. But this is, her name was Rosemary Ross. She's one of the daughters of Kenneth and Josephine Ross. And she met Baba in 1956 when she was 7 years old. At I think at the Hotel de Monaco or at the Longchamps restaurant. But I think you might have most of you heard this, or anyway, I'll read it. Meeting Baba. Her name is Rosemary Richards now. I was 7. Do I remember? Oh yes, forever. All time ceased. I walked into a great circle of light and complete protection. No one, no thing, no sound, only the essence and the voice of the Silent One. How could that be? What did he say? Where was I? Enclosed in light, where no harm could penetrate. No harm. I was lifted up. The circle was beyond where I could sense. Great love light blinded me with the enormity of this happening. I was 7. Do I now understand how incredible this event was on eternity's clock? Have problems vanished? No. Have challenges eluded me? No. Do I cry? Yes. Tears of joy, fear, love, hope for the less sensitive humanity. Have I been hurt? Yes, deeply by many people. Am I vulnerable? Oh yes. Vulnerable to the pain my physically and mentally fragile family have endured. Vulnerable to the horror of man harming man, and to anger and unkindness in our world. Why have I been so blessed? I have this knowing. I have love. I am so small. He is so great. What can I give? The only gift worth sharing. That in all the turmoil, misunderstandings, confusions, mistakes, wars, tumult, there is hope. There is love. How can I be so brazen? I have a responsibility because I glimpsed God. The Lord Maher. He is real. I sat on the lap of God. Jai Baba. Let me, from time to time, I stress this one thing, that what Darwin has laid out in the book Effort and Grace is one of the major paths to Baba, but it's not the only path. And there's some people that have an entirely different approach to Baba. So, you know, I know one time there was one of the longtime caretakers at the center, completely devoted to Baba all these years. And he came to one of our meetings here in Myrtle Beach. And at the end of the meeting, and we had a, kind of the type of discussion we have and everything, and just like this meeting, at the end he said, I don't even know what you people are talking about. So what I mean is he had an entirely different way with Baba. His, you might say, his outer life was a perfect reflection of his inner life, and there wasn't all of that stuff in between that some of us have had to deal with. He was just kind of living right from the heart of himself, and had kind of cleared out a lot of that. So anyway, now this next section of the book is called, it's about dressing your soul with Baba, and we'll be going into it. But Baba is only asking us to remember him 4 times a day. When we wake up at 12, at 5, and before we go to bed, dress your soul with Baba. And he says if you do this, you'll feel his presence and companionship throughout the day. Now, how could that be? How could just 4 seconds do that? But see, this is God in human form that's asking for these 4 seconds. And they kind of start to magnify, so that during the course of the day, when you have a moment, it may not be 12 o'clock or 5 o'clock, you dress your soul with Baba, or you're waiting in line at a grocery store and you got nothing to do, you dress your soul with Baba. So he's very tricky. I mean, Monty always used to say, Baba's very tricky. He gets 4 seconds out of you, and eventually he gets your whole day. So a lot of people, and a beautiful thing about this too is that there are people all over the country who are remembering Baba at that moment. So whether we know it or not, we are connecting with a fellow Baba lovers who are remembering Baba's coming up to 5 o'clock. When my watch goes off, I know, wow, there are people, at least all along the East Coast, that are remembering Baba. And I don't know about the people on the West Coast. I mean, they're kind of stuck. No. So anyway, and this is something that, if you were with Darwin, you'd be like at a restaurant or something like that, and then there would be like a little pause, and you'd go, and we'd remember Baba at 5 o'clock or 12. Anyway, so let's go for it. Dress your soul with Baba. And the thing too is that you can fashion it any way you want. That's not, Baba didn't lay down what that means and how to do it. But a beautiful thing that Darwin said about Baba's presence is not just his personality, but it's in his presence is forgiveness, humor, kindness, courage, honesty. All of the divine qualities are, what can I say, encapsulated in his presence. So you're getting all the divine qualities when you are experiencing Baba's presence, all at once. So Darwin used the word composite. The composite of who Baba is in his presence. Anyway, Jai Baba. So we're off to the races.
Yes, we're at the very beginning of chapter 16. That's page 89 of the book, 53 of the PDF.
Dressing our soul. Meher Baba is the imperishable sweetness of divine love. We are surrounded by the immeasurable sweetness of his being of divine love, which is the true nature of all space, which permeates us completely, through and through, which is indeed our own true nature and being. Darwin Shaw. As we grow little by little in spirit, we find that we can no longer tolerate some actions, thoughts, and feelings in ourselves anymore. We also become more aware of actions, thoughts, and feelings that are compatible with our inner being. More and more, we want peace of mind, which means more harmony, upliftment, more light within, and deeper values. We see that it is not so much accepting a doctrine as weeding our things we do not know that we had not known were affecting us. We are working toward divinity, divine reality, divine love, divine truth, and that is above all laws. It cannot be dominated or superseded by anything. This is what Baba has and gives, and what sustains him. And when we come to him, his divinity also sustains us. He lifts us out of the lesser laws that govern lower levels of us. He lifts us out of the, He lifts us out of the lesser laws that govern lower levels of us. Consciousness, sorry, I keep jumping here. And brings us under the law of divine love, the lawless law, which means that we would be entirely free. Of course, we have integrity of purpose and do not use this as a loophole for indulging in things that are wrong. Rather, it lifts us out of the wish to do anything that is other than the purest. Should I stop or go on? Loving, trusting, and feeling intimate with the Master gradually raises our consciousness and creates an open channel. It is slow to happen, but it is real work that is going on to raise our consciousness. This is why we are spending our lifetime making efforts to discondition our subconscious. It is so that we can stop limiting the Master or God by our false ideas about him and ourselves. He helps us see through these false notions. This knowledge deepens into insight. We can see how our impressions ensnare us and how our sanskaric patterns have become a drag on our consciousness. Whether we are conscious of it or not, once we have turned it to the Master, we have tuned in to the Master, we are receiving help from him. With his help, the impressions dissolve, the heart center opens, and love flows. Crowning jewel is the flow of divine love. Everyone should feel equally close to him. No one should feel left out. A relationship with him is equally available to all. He does not play favorites. All are meant to be intimate with God. Beba.
I just wanted to say two quick things that it's so true that as I've been with Baba over these years, I want peace of mind and harmony more than anything. And I can't imagine how when I was younger, I put up with so little peace and so little harmony, and that was my norm, you know. It's really, it's almost like it says Baba, being with Baba gradually raises our consciousness. And it's something that's happened over years without my really realizing it. But how can I connect to Baba without stillness? And how can I have stillness without peace of mind? And how can I have peace of mind without harmony? So as soon as something's unharmonious in my life, I don't want it there. I want peace. I do everything I can to create peace in my relationships, because I don't feel I can as easily connect with Baba when the harmony of my life is destroyed. And I also realized that business of loving and trusting the Master gradually raises our consciousness. So that's why I come to Effort and Grace, because when I'm with all these people, all of you, who Baba's been doing that with you as well, it's multiplied, and I can feel that where I can't feel it anywhere else, that Baba's been raising all of your consciousness, and therefore I can dip into that and hopefully add my bit into the pool of raised consciousness. But it really reminds me of what's going on. Thanks.
Beautifully said, Gabriella. You know, I mentioned one thing is Darwin, in another place, uses the phrase, instead of peace of mind, he calls it peace of heart. That's even better.
Mm.
Your mind might not be at peace, but your heart, oddly enough, can be. You know, you can be worried about something up here, but actually inwardly at a kind of a quiet, still place at the heart level. That distinction I find real valuable.
That's very helpful for me right now
Yeah.
with my family living in Israel and all this stuff going
Oh,
on over
yeah.
there. So I have to sort of pay, at some level, I'm aware of that. I have to pay attention. But the peace, I need the peace. I can't change the war, but I need the peace within.
Yeah. At the
At
heart level, ideally,
the
yeah.
heart level, at the heart level. And also, my question is, when people are like they are in the situation, they're in the war, how can they have peace with all the noise, the mental noise and the physical noise of war? So that's a question I have. Anybody,
Yeah.
I'd like any feedback from people that may have had that experience.
Well, just to mention one thing that Delia de Leon was a real worrywart. She worried over all manner of things, even when I met her. But right in the middle of World War II, when London was being bombarded, Baba sent her a cable. I can't remember the wording exactly, but he said, "Remain calm. If you remain calm, I can work through you."
Mm.
Can you imagine, right in the middle where things are getting bombarded, and Baba's asking the a major worrywart to remain calm. Therefore, I can work through you. So,
I was connecting with Gabrielle. I have family in Israel too, and a lot of stuff going on with family. And one of the tricks I use, that if I can, is when everything around me is chaotic and noisy and doesn't seem to want to subside. I think that's the time to keep silent, if you can. I found that very valuable, and it was easier to get peaceful and calm and in the heart by not talking. So sometimes it was hard in the situation, but I'd get a pad of paper and I would say, I'm keeping silent, but I will communicate with you through writing. Not communicating, I'm just not talking. And the psychic energy that saves is phenomenal, just very helpful to try. So it worked for me. I wanted to share that.
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And Wendy.
So I've been working out in the gardens the last few days and weeding. And as soon as I read this weeding, the word weeding, it reminded me when I started doing the gardens that it's Baba's garden, not my garden. And also with the weeding, as I was weeding through it, I kept saying, what do I need to pull out of my garden so that it'll flourish? So I'm weeding and I'm so focused. I mean, I have never planted my garden with such focus as I have this year. And it was so beautiful. And every so often, the dirt would look like Baba's face. It was just amazing. It was just an amazing thing, because I don't know about the rest of the world, but it seems to be a time where there's a lot of weeding, where you have to let go of some things that you cannot change. And it's not that the weeds are bad, it just is the time to clean up a bit. And yeah, so just wanted to share that. I think it was quite
Yeah.
interesting with the weeding. Thank you, Jay Baba.
Yeah.
Yeah, great analogy about your garden, Wendy. Though I was just thinking, years ago, I heard Margaret Krask repeat a story that others were in New York City with Baba, and the hotel they were at had a fire, I think in the middle of the night, and they had to get out, go downstairs, get on the sidewalk. And she said there was this black porter just standing out front, I think with his hands behind his back and just smiling, just kind of glowing. And she went up to him and she said, "Well, what are you so calm about?" And he said, "My mama taught me a long time ago to wear the world like a loose coat."
Beautiful.
So that's page 90. Dress your soul.
In 1954 in India, Meher Baba had hinted for days that he was going to give us a special practice that would allow us to experience his presence all with us all the time while working at leisure or whatever we were doing. He called the practice
Sahaj Dhyan. Sahaj Dhyan.
Sahaj Dhyan. When he said that, I thought, wow, this must be some very profound Eastern practice, very mystical. And so the day came when someone brought up the question, what is this method you were going to tell us about? He proceeded to explain. Sahaj Dhyan, he said, means natural meditation. The first thing when you do the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is to dress your soul with Baba. And then at noon do the same thing, dress your soul with Baba. Then at 5 p.m. or thereabouts, do that same thing again. And finally, just as you retire at night, dress your soul with Baba. It only takes a few seconds, Baba said, like adjusting your tie. Giving him those few seconds a few times a day has the potential of markedly raising the consciousness of those who do it. Ordinarily, upon waking, a person, especially a working person, has to figure out what the program is for the day. But you can still take a few seconds, as Baba said, to dress your soul with Baba. Bobby Bernstein has a song about that. This sets the tone for the day and prepares you to deal with Maya. But then when it gets to the middle of the morning, you begin to look at your watch, not yet 12, but you're thinking of Baba at 11:30, 11:45 until it is finally noon. So, and you do the same as you approach 5 p.m. so that after a while, you develop the habit of thinking of Baba most of the time. But it also throws you into the problem of trying to understand what Baba means by saying, dress your soul with Baba. Where is your soul? Who is Baba? So it involves your feelings and your identity. It involves everything, so it really tunes you into Baba. I think Baba wants us to think about what he meant by dress your soul with Baba. He is already divinely free, so instead of falling back into bodily habits and personality paradigms, we dress our soul with Baba consciousness instead of our lower consciousness. It counteracts other traits of thought that clamor to come in and leaves them off on a sidetrack somewhere. For me, dress your soul with Baba means assert your soul's true identity, your true nature. In dressing our soul with Baba, we are accepting the Lord of Mercy and all that he is as our reality. This includes eternal salvation, security, continuous grace, divine love, purity, truth, and beauty. It is more or less capturing the composite presence of Baba, the presence of God, and allowing that presence to flood one's heart, one's inner being, rather than doting on all kinds of samskaric interests just to keep your mind busy. In other words, we're stepping into the picture of making our own choices instead of being victimized and drifting along with what our sanskaras present to us. It is up to us as we grow spiritually to make better and better choices. We choose to control our reactivity and keep our focus one pointedly on God or the master within, to dress our soul with Baba right away. We put our trust in him, accepting whatever he wants to provide. Yeah, I set my alarm on my phone for 4 times a day.
Good. And if you set it for all the times during the day, you can connect with the people that are in, in the Midwest, people that are on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Anyway, any questions or comments? Anyone who has been doing this practice for a while? Yeah, Hugh has been indoctrinated way back when. It really works, and you have Baba's presence and companionship at will. Eventually, it's kind of a little bit irritating at first to be having to think of time and be pulled out of your usual flow of activity and thought and emotion, but it's like a grain of sand in an oyster shell. It starts out as an irritation, but it produces the pearl.
Yeah, I've been doing it since when we read this in our last passage through Effort&Grace. And what I've come to feel lately is it's really a time when that's a personal time with me and Baba. It's an opportunity for that 1 second or so to I guess use a word like connect. So that's what I've been starting to feel, and it's not anything yet, but it's a glimmer of something that maybe I can feel coming. But we have the alarm set. Jan and I both set the alarm for 11:55 and 4 p.m. 55, and then with the snooze for 5 minutes. So, but it's funny that 5 minutes, they could like all of a sudden say, "All right, I'll do that," and all of a sudden, bingo, it's 5.
Yeah,
it's time, and you sort of the time just went by, and I always feel like I'm letting myself down. Like you can't let Baba down because he probably the avatar's just expects it. Oh, there he goes again, working on the music. What about me, Ray? Pop is here. Don't you want to say hi? Anyway, that's
beautiful.
My comment.
Excellent. Wonderful. And wonderful that Jan is doing it too. You make a couple of cappuccinos, and at 12 o'clock you toast. And then drink it. Bill, do you anything that occurs to you about Darwin saying this over the years? And
just that he would emphasize it a lot. He felt it was really important, and that it would tune us in, and keep us tuned in throughout the day.
And I'm sure you were out at restaurants with him and everything where it would move toward 12 or...
Yep, and he'd say Baba time, Baba time.
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock Baba time. That was the phrase.
Yeah,
5 o'clock Baba time.
I'm sure you had that experience probably at some of the cafeterias in Myrtle Beach too, at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, and working at the center, we would, be cleaning a cabin, and then someone from one part of the cabin would shout out, 12 o'clock Baba time, and everybody would stop, and then we'd go on. It's fun.
Something that I don't always remember, but I'm trying more to remember beyond the other times, is when I'm eating. because I tend sometimes to eat standing up or because I'm busy or whatever, but to sit down and how would Bobby eat this lunch? How, am I eating something that he would like to eat? And it's not about necessarily, what the meal is, but like if it was junk food, would Baba be eating junk food? But if it's a good meal, to be grateful that he's provided that. And I don't know, I found that helped me to decompress and enjoy the meal as if I was having it with Baba. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just
beautiful.
something.
Any way you bring them in, by
Right.
hook or crook,
Yeah. Day Baba.
by casserole or hamburger.
Right.
All right, page 91. Be fluidic.
Be fluidic. As we dress our soul with Baba, letting go of limitations, such as the personality, we move to higher levels of consciousness. When we reach and enjoy a high state of consciousness, we have an unconscious tendency to try to hold on to the experience and crystallize it. However, in spite of ourselves, it slips away and we wonder what we have to do to regain that experience. One of the secrets in the spiritual life is to be fluidic on a sustained basis. One of the secrets in the spiritual life is to be fluidic on a spiritual basis. We learn to counteract our tendency to want to hold on to spiritual experiences. We no longer try to stockpile the residue of those experiences. By becoming fluidic, we establish a new rhythm. We let everything flow. When we have trust in the Master, then we place all our confidence in Him so that we do not have to hold on to some object, even if it's a spiritual experience. We let the temporary experiences come and go, knowing that more will follow. But the real things, the real and abiding happiness, will become part of the regular flow. There arises a new rhythm of love, a new rhythm of what we do with our thoughts, feelings, desires, and the residue of our experiences, which are our sanskaras. That is a very important sentence. There arises a new rhythm of love, a new rhythm of what we do with our thoughts, feelings, desires, and the residue of our experience, which are our sanskaras. We are meant to be fluidic. We have a flowing current of energy, which in spiritual literature is sometimes represented by the figure 8, infinity. We usually have it flow into us to improve our ego, to give us more possessions, more importance, all sorts of things that are selfish. And we mistakenly presume that to experience happiness, we have to do this. But Meher Baba points out that this is a misconception. It works the other way around. As Baba says, real happiness lies in making others happy. Real happiness lies in making others happy. Baba came to redirect the current toward the spiritual as part of the conquest of the unconscious. When we link our consciousness with His, our current goes out to Him, is washed free, and flows back into us, where it can be expressed in the world of forms as a giving energy. So we must cooperate with him by working to change the direction of our current and to keep that current flowing, especially when our reactions cause it to slow down or stop, especially when our reactions slow down and cause it to stop. We must cooperate with him. We must cooperate with Baba by working to change the direction of that current. Part of this is learning how to give everything to Baba, letting everything go, and doing this on a continuous basis. It's a very, very, very challenging encouragement by Baba, and I read it the way I felt and feel and deal with it. This is very important, very important. Every page is very important. This particular paragraph, how do you and I and all of us collectively and individually be, besides waking up with Baba, 12 o'clock with Baba, 5 o'clock with Baba, and going to bed Baba in our consciousness, how do we do that when our buttons are pressed and tap that unconsciousness and change the current? I know over time it does shift, and I know we make effort. Baba speaks about, through Darwin's beautiful words, the unconscious, all that conditioning. And it is really challenging as heck to heal all those thoughts and experiences buried in our unconscious and our subconscious mind. And it's in our unconsciousness of the mind and the body. I know that Baba can't talk to us directly other than these beautiful words of encouragement by Darwin, but to change the current so that our reactivity goes into fluidic flow of love rather than reactivity. So our reactivity goes into forgiveness instead of reactivity, to let that whole circuitry get reversed so that I talk as if Baba is with me at all times. That's really an extraordinary challenge for me.
Beautiful. You know, Darwin used to elaborate a little bit more on this, and he doesn't do it so much in this book, but he would say that there's an invisible current in everyone, but the current of most people is going this way toward I, me, and mine, and that current has to be reversed, flow out to life, flow in, ideally flow into Baba first, and then flow out to the world. And it's something we can be proactive about. It's at the heart level. And it's been one of my practices for my whole life with Baba. In fact, I wrote up, I don't know if you folks, I wrote up called a thing called The Invisible Current, which I've kind of updated a little bit, but maybe I don't know how to give it to Angela, and maybe if you guys want to read it. But he is, it's about flowing through things. You don't like that person, you have a reaction, it's possible to flow through them, so that your consciousness isn't always stopped by things that you dislike, the things that you you don't like. You learn to flow through things by working at a heart level, at the heart level, not mentally trying to stop the reaction, but at the heart level, flow through somebody, even if you don't care for their personality or their behavior. It is possible. It doesn't mean that you affirm their behavior or you endorse their behavior, but it's possible to flow through somebody and still object to what they're doing, even verbally object to what they're doing, But what happens normally is we react and the current stops, you know, and then we try to act from there. And that doesn't have the expansiveness, the forgiveness, the wider view of things to act from, to respond from. Anyway, I took this really to heart. He doesn't elaborate on it very much here, but he did over the years. In other words, you're proactive about your inner state, and for example, like, well, I'll just elaborate. When I wake up in the morning, I'm kind of groggy, and I'm basically, my current is stopped. And with Baba's name and centering in Baba, I get the current flowing. So that in and behind my morning routine, so that by 8:30, the heaviness that I woke up in is gotten transmuted into a living substance, and that living substance is what fuels my day. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I take a couple hours to convert the heaviness that I wake up in into, with Baba's name and centering in him, all whatever way. Everybody's got a different way of doing it, and so that your day flows rather than chunking along, or you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and then the world has to pay for it. And then what happens during the afternoon for me, sometimes my current begins to stall out, so I have to get my current going. When my current stops, when it stalls out, Baba seems like he's at a distance from me. When my current stops, I don't know what to do, and my mind comes down and gives me some options to do, and they're never any good, believe me. And when my current stops, the day becomes just ordinary. But if I work on the flow, it can be Baba's name, it can be playing volleyball, it can be playing with kids, it can be having a conversation with somebody that enlivens. When the current flows, then I don't have to ask, where's Baba? The current is Baba, the flow is Baba. I don't have to ask, what should I do? The flow leads me to what to do. I don't have to ask, and the day, instead of being ordinary, kind of acquires a certain spacious, timeless quality to it. In places. So I know that so anyway, that's a little bit of the dynamic. And that's kind of right out of Darwin, you might say, what I picked up. We don't have to be victims of our heaviness, our heavy sun scars. We don't have to be victims of the day and what we encounter. Yeah.
I want to share that, like, from an experiential level, over the last 3 days, I've had many rich experiences, and one of them was flowing with so much of Baba's love in a very difficult situation with like 100 people at a wedding from the ex-husband and family, and just radiating Baba's love, and I leaving that so happy, even with so many things, like nothing touched me. It was just compassion and love. And then, because of course Baba gave me an experience yesterday where, being in the presence of someone, a new person that I've recently met, who is so unconditionally loving, and then I shut down. And I thought, the control in that, like this new rhythm of love is to be able to be in the presence of that. So that was huge when I did it with, through Baba's Grace on Fridays. Not that that wasn't great, but then I'm like, oh, now here comes the work. Like why I as a human being would attach to so much drama and rejection and all of the dynamics or whatever, is because that was my part in saying no to the purity that can come from people that live like that, and to be in close relationship with someone like that. And I thought, oh, Baba. And Baba was laughing at me this morning in meditation. He was laughing, and he was just like, it's perfect. And now you're going to learn. And I'm like, oh, now I'm going to learn. I wasn't learning before, Baba, but now you're going to learn. So I really loved reading The New Rhythm of Love. I'm glad that Jeff read that twice. What to do with those thoughts, feelings, desires, and the residue of our experiences, which are our sanskaras, which is also the control of, I will not be in equal relationship. I have the drama with all of it. Oh, poor me, I don't have that. And then when it is, it's like, what? So I knew that tonight, as always, was going to be just perfect. So thank you, everyone.
Beautiful. Examples are great.
Yeah. And Mahu?
Hi, Jay Baba. So thank you. The discussion is good and it helps us. I think actually, as we are an individualized soul, we are very unique in our relationship with Baba, in our life with Baba, in consuming our sanskaras and getting closer to Baba. So it falls on us, which Baba has given us all kind of a guidance, all kind of a words written, discourse, you name it, all the books, all the mandalas, everything, to just keep on progressing, okay, toward Baba. In order to do that, and I've started doing several things recently that has helped me a lot, and especially now Jeff said examples are good, so get ready, Jeff. So these are the examples. Sometimes, like I'm closer to God in the morning, especially early morning. Unbelievable. I mean, when I participate at 6 a.m. RT, which will be 9 a.m. you guys, I'm just completely with Bob. I mean, it's because I think the sanskaras and the load of sanskaras hasn't completely covered me yet. Not yet. Maybe a gist of it. No, seriously. And I watched myself in that. And now I have gotten into the habit of observing myself. I'm observing myself to see when is the best time of the day for me. Seriously, that I can be efficient in anything. Holy Matters, Baba remembrance, Baba loving Baba. And I know what hours are those. So I put it to work. I put those hours to work. And guess what? I am actually very grateful for pandemic. Okay, I think pandemic is, in a way, for me, it's been a blessing in disguise. Why? Because I live in LA. There are distances. I had to drive about an hour and a half sometimes, get to the center. But now I don't have to. Now it's at social media. There are a lot of Baba's books online, PDF, and Zoom sessions, and you name it is there. And so Baba has given us his blessing and made all these resources available to us. It's definitely up to us how to use it. The opportunity is so vast, so big, and it's really up to us. So in observing myself, sometimes I see a very silly thought. Silly. Stick with me for half an hour and an hour. It's just pondering, And so immediately I pause. Not immediately. I'm sorry, take it back. I pause, and there is a technique that one of my friends who's psychologist showed me. It's called tapping. So I start doing tapping here on my head like this, and like here, on my hand, cerebral, and then I'll take it all, and then I just, Baba, I drop it in your ocean of love. Baba, I drop it in your ocean of love. And if I really am in tune with Baba and I do it sincerely, he takes it away. Because let's listen to Mera. Oh my God, today was the most beautiful program about Mera, about 2 hours and a half. It was heaven. And what did Mera say? Mera said, the moments that you don't remember Meher Baba does not count. Don't let even a second of your life goes without remembering him, loving him, and just think about him. So it's there. Like for example, another example. Yesterday, I attended 6 Zoom sessions. 6. Okay, so it was really fulfilling day. 7 o'clock, I started with Scott McKay talking to doing Norina. Oh my God, that was definitely inner world. And with England. And then 8 o'clock, I had a meditation, group meditation session, praying for India with my friends in India. And then Harry Kenmore with Jeff and and then Listen Humanity was at the end, and then Baba's RT. So the opportunity is there, really is there. It's really up to us. Like for me, the more I read about Baba, the more I talk about Baba, the less I think about myself, my problem, or even my comfort, my happiness, my goes away. So any effort that we can do to get rid of my, me, mine, I, and give it all to him, Baba, 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 it's a winner. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Baba, 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 Jai Baba. Anyone else?
Thank you. Same thing, I just what Mark said. It is true, so true. That is, Baba has given this opportunity, and we have to take it in a positive way. And while doing Baba prayer, I wish everybody pray for all those who are suffering and be affected by pandemic in India. Even we are all praying, as she said, for them to come out of the situation. And that is our prayer real helps. Through our prayer, Baba give them strength to pray, to help them. So our prayer is very important for those who are suffering from pandemic, especially in India, when the second wave is going on, and so many families are there, friends are there, and even my colleagues are there. Those who are really suffering, we are all praying. Then we are doing like an Akhand, that Baba Jap. From there, sharing everyone the timings. Almost more than 250 Baba lovers, we are doing it.
Beautiful.
Just I want to share that with you all, and that is giving strength. Yes, one way positivity of what she told, it is 10% true, that what way it is really helping us to know more and more and to be with Baba also. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That helps Baba to help us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Page 93. Desire to have longing.
Desire to have longing. Meher Baba emphasized the importance of longing for truth, longing for God, as a way of redirecting our energies and transmuting our lower desires to a higher purpose. We slow down the wanting machine and turn off the motor by diverting the imagination in more constructive ends. This is sublimation. The energy that is tied up in desires does not just get thrown out. Instead of trying to block out or repress the desires, we redirect the energy of the desires into something higher. Otherwise, we are just fueling a wildfire. From the spiritual point of view, we sublimate it into longing for God, love, or liberation. This is not easy. It is a matter of growth. We each have to discover ways that are easy for us to use. I believe that sublimation is the new mysticism. In sublimation, we go to the divine beloved or God the infinite as first cause with love and longing and leave all the conditions. We have a tendency to unconsciously identify with things we do not really want, but that our desire nature causes us to hold on to. That is why they are still there. We do not let them go. Someday we have to go to first cause to resolve the whole illusion anyway. This is perfect sublimation.
Is there someone who can identify what Baba means by sublimation, or give us an example?
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. I mean, I'm thinking back, God, going back to college days, 15 or more than that now, probably 16, 17 years ago. And when I first started getting interested in spirituality, and, I had some pretty bad behaviors and desires back then. And definitely, yeah, it feels like there's an energy involved in that. I mean, the desire to want, to go out and drink and party and do all this, the desires for, for intimacy, the desires to, build yourself up to like a good career and a status and all that. And it definitely has a, driving force behind it. And, when in my junior year of college, I had my life kind of fall apart, all of the means and the channels to try to fulfill those desires were just like all cut off, because of what happened, a bad illness I experienced. So you're left with all that energy and there was nowhere to really put but you could feel that it was all still there. And it was at that time that the different things started coming along to introduce the spiritual path. And then you could feel that all of that momentum that was charging in that other direction, you would put it into reading, you would put it into meditation, you would put it into, learning how to chant japa and different things. And I remember I took up kayaking also. So, that was another way to like get out into nature and to, you let it out physically, and stuff like that. And soon I saw that like a whole new life had formed, with all new habits, all new everything. And I could see it was all the energy that was caught up doing that other stuff. It just found another outlet that was aligned with God instead of ego destruction. So anyways, yeah, just going back to a dark place a long time ago, to kind of illustrate that.
Beautiful. No, really. But I mean, what about all the six packs in the kayak,
I really didn't bring any of them along. This all happened so abruptly. I'm thankful for that. There wasn't a struggle. It was just kind of like, crisis hit and old life is over instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. So
yeah, beautiful.
That can be good.
Very, very, very clear.
Oh, J. Baba. No, I thought I just I remembered something in scientific terminology, what sublimation actually mean. I mean, an example of that. You know, when iodine, solid iodine is given some energy in terms of, in the form of fire, it'll directly become vapor instead of becoming a liquid. The natural transition for most of these substances is to go from solid to liquid and finally to vapor. In the case of iodine, it turns right from solid directly into vapor. I find that very relevant here. Baba is probably telling us all these, solid, what do you call, samskaric patterns of lust and greed. That's energy, like Anthony said. They're all forms of energy. But if we can only disperse them and break them by not implementing them through various channels, like everybody mentioned here, Maho said, take his name constantly and be in the company of, people who are remembering Baba together in meetings and all that stuff. And above all, letting it go, and giving it to him. And these are all the various things that actually disperse that energy. And because of remembering him, this energy, I think, will transform itself into the energy of love. And that, I think, is happening, at least in my life of late. And thanks to Effort&Grace and all these meetings, I've been learning things over the time. And I have learned to give it to Baba. Whenever a thought comes that I don't like, that I think is not in agreement with what Baba wants us to live our life. And I immediately remember, even I think somebody mentioned, giving it to Baba actually taking it, And that's what I do. And now, whenever anything that happens to my mind, which is negative, and, believe it or not, I immediately get that picture of Baba in 1962 doing this constantly to people as they're filing by. And that definitely, to some extent, I can't say I controlled all the negative energy that I have, but definitely has hopefully transmuting them and sublimating them into the higher form of energy, which is love. And that's generally what I thought happens in the process of sublimation.
Yeah, beautiful, Prakash. Wow, I mean, yeah, it's amazing that we have a positive direction to go with all this stuff we've been lugging around with us for decades and lifetimes. Yeah.
So, two comments. One is I was thinking about how when I have a feeling that's not perhaps a negative one, maybe anger, maybe jealousy, maybe judgment, it has a color to it. And it moves through my heart with a certain color, and it's a filter. So I sort of feel like sublimation is when I change the color on the filter. I might change it from red to green. And the other thought is that we just read how Darwin said to take the fluidic thing internal instead of external. That's a form of sublimation. So just immediately to take it inward and into our hearts and let Baba do what he wants to do with it. And then just a comment based on what Cindy said a while back. So I went out yesterday for the first time. I was in a room of like 12 people unexpectedly, no masks. I mean, we got the CDC approval, and it was just the strangest thing. Everyone was talking. There was so much talking over each other. It was awful. And I felt like, okay, now we're in for new challenges. I'm so used to the pandemic. And it was like going through that. It reminded me how my grandfather used to say, go through the rain and don't let the raindrops, don't get wet. Don't let the raindrops touch you. You should go through the rain without the raindrops touch you. And it was like that. I wouldn't say I succeeded 100%, but it was very different. I was very aware of it. So for me, a lot of it is not getting caught in the first place. Because if I get caught in the first place with something, then I have to transmute it and give it to Baba. But if I cannot let the raindrops touch me in the first place, as much as is possible, That's it. Thanks.
Excellent example. And Anthony.
Yeah, a neat little extra thing about sublimation that came to me. Mickey Singer from Temple of the Universe was sharing about the process a couple years ago, and it was neat. I remember him saying that eventually, like you'll be able to take raw anger and not express it, and then he said, as you don't express it, you feel it boil inside, and eventually it will turn back to love. Like that energy will go back into that. And I remember him saying something that stood out, that it's easier to release that anger and it feels better to do that. So, like, say you want to yell at somebody, the easy thing to do is to just do it, because he said you feel that energy building up, and when you release it through the mouth, through the throat chakra, it kind of temporarily clears that from your system. And I could definitely relate to that, because when you do yell, you can feel like, it's like a relief. So he said to not express it and then to enter into that sublimation process. It takes a lot of like spiritual willingness and maturity, I guess, because you have to endure that pain of not leaking it out, and you have to hold that and own the process of transforming that. So that was neat. That really struck me of like, wow, like that's the easy thing to do, is to just yell, to just do that. And when you don't let it out, you have to boil with it to transmute it. And that's why it's so challenging, but rewarding, because you don't make a mess. So J Baba, that kind of came to me.
I think I read this, about a year ago when we were first doing this, and I had put a circle around. I believe that sublimation is the new mysticism. In sublimation, we get a divine beloved, or God, the infinite, as first cause, with love and longing, and leave all the conditions. And then it goes, so anyway, I've never been one to really understand what people are talking about when they talk about conditioned mind. I don't know, to me, it's a buzzword. And until I understand what that really means, I still think of it as kind of a buzzword, but I think I'm beginning to understand it. So, the question was, what is sublimation? The very first question that Jeff asked. And it actually says exactly what it is in the very beginning, but I just hadn't linked it together. It says we slow down the wanting machine and we turn off the motor. And the motor, I think, is really our thoughts that keeps thinking things up. We turn off the motor by diverting the imagination to more constructive ends. And then he says flat out, this is sublimation. So I don't know why I didn't get that the first time, but anyway. And then he says, from the spiritual point of view, we sublimate it into longing for God, love, or liberation. It's a matter of growth. But then he also says something really important. We have to discover the ways that are easy for us to use. So each person is different. For some, it's gardening. For some, it's poetry. For some, it's doing marathons. For some, it's, I don't know, it could be anything. Writing a poem, drawing something. Each person ultimately knows what that is if they can be honest with themselves. But this is the thing about the new mysticism. I believe sublimation. And so we go to the divine beloved as first cause. So I'm thinking, what does that mean? And it says, and leave all the conditions. So there's that word again, conditions. And I guess what that is the next sentence, which I don't know, for some reason I didn't put all these things together. We have a tendency to unconsciously identify with things we do not really want. So I guess actions or paths we've taken before that haven't proven helpful, and they've led to all the negative things that one can experience. It says, but our desired nature causes us to hold on to it. So like wanting a piece of candy. That's kind of simple. And of course, you don't want to have the ill effects of that, but you keep wanting the candy. So that could apply to almost anything. And the problem is we don't let them go. So I guess the conditioning is to love these things that we know can harm us, whether spiritually, physically, emotionally, whatever way, or harm somebody else. But yet we hold on to them with a tenacity. We're afraid to let them go. So then again, he talks about the first cause, which will dissolve illusion. And that is the perfect sublimation, I guess, which is merging into God, the all-knowing God.
Yeah, the first cause is like, instead of going to the creation and everything is the effect, and the Baba is the first cause. God is the first cause. So he's basically saying go to God for your problems rather than go to illusion to try to work out your problems. Try to work out your conditions within your conditions. Go directly to Baba and get your cues from him, and then and then respond to your conditioning or your problems. That's the logic of that. Well, I just want to say, Angela, I got the latest update on that invisible current thing that I wrote. So
Okay.
it's got. I had to make some changes in there to make it a little bit more understandable. But it's this thing that I wrote is kind of taking something. It's the practical application of what Darwin said about being fluidic, that the invisible current played out over my life. Yeah.
Yes, so I want to go back to Jeff's question about what does Meher Baba mean by sublimation. What I read from Meher Baba, actually, he calls it creative control. Okay, and he equates the creative control with this process of sublimation. And he actually explains that this control is not negative. It's actually born out of a strength, and it helps your mind to be healthy, and it brings you lots of peace, you know. And he actually introduced it as a discipline to put it to work all the time. Also, later on, Baba, there's an article that he explains that our psychic energy can be sublimated into a spiritual channel through meditation, through selfless service for humanity, through undivided devotion to God or the Master. So I think in that process that he's explaining, our mind don't even notice it, you know, that substitute has already taken place. Because once we put it into practice the way Baba guides us, it automatically done for him, and the result also offered to him during this process of sublimation. And one thing, Anthony, you mentioned about the anger, and it's hard to keep it and not let it out. It reminds me of something that Don Stevens one time in one of his seminar was saying, particularly about anger. He was saying that when you feel, you see these sanskaras of, let's say, anger, and he was saying everything is sanskaras, but the sanskaras of anger is coming, then pause. Just a quick pause, and don't let it express itself. Once you pause, it diverts itself to a different energy. And so for that, you know, Baba talks about it in discourses. It says, when these thoughts come, think about something opposite that helps you and brings you freedom. And in this case, we think of him, like that, Jay Bob.
Jay Baba, yeah.
Hi. For the this discussion, I think it's effacement for me is what I started doing because with my wife, for instance, or maybe my sister, something happens and you're right away. It's the old way would be yeah, but this sort of thing, and then with effacement, I say, well, the other person's got to have something valid in this. I might be 60% to my 40. It might be 40% to my 60, and it'll always change, So maybe for me, this is changing from butting heads into treating something with love by practicing effacement. So for me, maybe that's what it means to me, being able to take my ego's first tendency to fight back and to assert myself, and to see something else. Try to present a like I said, Baba, what do you think I would say? And I'll get this thought. Well, talk about that like nice flower that the person has, or talk about, just pick out something, and all of a sudden, then the other person then responds positively also. My wife and my sister, maybe, so maybe that's what it means to me in involving effacement. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, effacement is probably the highest form of sublimation. You're overthrowing the whole thing, the whole works.
Gabriella?
He says it's the new mysticism, but I'm not sure I agree. I think it's the ancient mysticism. Like what? And I was thinking about the Buddha and how he said that the heart is like a big fire, and whatever you throw in it, good, bad, it burns. So you should always take everything and throw it into the fire of that. And I was thinking about Hafiz, where he says that when you have even longing and love and desire to be close to God, you shouldn't speak it. You should keep it within, and no smoke should even escape your lips. And it reminded me, because Anthony, you mentioned it's hot, it's boiling. And so often feelings are boiling, and that's the transformative. You put anything in the fire and it changes it. So thanks.
Yeah, excellent. Good. I like that fire of the heart. Burning up good, bad, and the spiritual as well.
And just responding to Mahu, Don Stevens talked about going to the neutral plateau.
Yeah.
That was his term, and he'd say, like Mahu mentioned, if the anger it's coming, he'd say if you can take at first just 1 second and just divert yourself and take a breath, and you practice it, and you can get 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and eventually you can really extend the calm period, and then sublimate or transmute, or it maybe even evaporates because you've just been able to give it space and not dive into the emotion.
Good. Very, very clear.
Yes. Following along with what a lot of other people have said, it's kind of very present for me right now. Irritation and annoyance, and I can feel it as my ego wanting to assert itself. It's like, you're right, or making others wrong, or just a bunch of a sanskaric load, should we say. And so putting it into my heart and giving it to Baba, what I notice is that I can't, versus when I spread it out, even if I just say it to another person to try to get confirmation about my ideas or my thoughts about a certain situation, then I'm externalizing it. When I bring it inside and bring it to Baba in my heart, there's a certain strength that I'm finding it requires to hold that. And I don't mean hold it but to give it to Baba and experience it inside so that I'm not spreading it out. I'm not spewing it out in any direction, but having to have the patience to let Baba work it through in me. What's true for me, it doesn't mean all of a sudden there's no discomfort. I feel discomfort. I mean, it's not like automatically I go from the annoyance and irritation and borderline anger to I'm thinking I'm right. And, I don't automatically go from that to just like a nirvana kind of thing. I'm feeling I'm feeling it. I'm feeling those feelings and giving them to Baba at the same time. And it requires an expansion, a willingness of some sort to do that. That's what I'm noticing in myself.
Yeah. And that's, you think, well, what's love? That is what love is, but love isn't always very comfortable. You're stuck, you're jammed up, but that is what love, that's the way love is, I feel. Having to swallow a lot of things and not put it out there,
So can you say another sentence or two, Jeff, about what do you mean that's what love is? Because I appreciate your saying that.
Well, I mean, just being involved in that, trying to give it to Baba, trying to withhold, expressing it out, and having to stew in your own reactions. Yeah. It doesn't seem like love, but that is what love is. It's willing to do that for the sake of others, for the sake of the environment around you, and at the same time you're giving it to Baba. I mean, it's not like a sublime love by any means.
Yeah, Jai Baba. In this section, the key thing that I found is longing. Baba, as well as almost every single one of the mandali, really laid a lot of emphasis on longing. I remember Mani saying, if you cannot long for him, long to long for him. So when Darwin talks about sublimation here, what he is referring to, in my view, is instead of desiring and thinking, I want this, I want that, and so on, just have that longing, think that I want Baba's love. And in this context, Darwin's book, As Only God Can Love, has a beautiful ending. I thought I'll read a couple of paragraphs from that.
Beautiful.
This section is called He is Love. And this is the conclusion of As Only God Can Love. Meher Baba came like a thief in the night, as he used to say, to steal our hearts and then disappear from view. Baba did not come to satisfy our intellects with explanations or to satiate our hearts with feelings of love. He came to pierce our hearts with longing for divine love. And this longing propels us to seek the goal of creation, reality, truth, abiding love. One time during his last week of intense suffering, Baba communicated to Bhav Kalchari one of the mandali, serving as Baba's night watchman. Quote, when I release the arrow of my love, it will strike deep and wound the hearts of all. The wounds will make them have my darshan continuously. They will have that longing for me, and that is my real darshan.
Ooh, beautiful. Read that last sentence again. That's beautiful. The last couple of sentences.
When I release the arrow of my love, it will strike deep and wound the hearts of all. The wounds will make them have my darshan continuously. They will have that longing for me, and that is my real darshan.
Oh, beautiful. Great. Wow, you couldn't have ended this session any better than with that quote. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, shall we have a few moments of silence here? And then just to let you know that anybody that wants to stay on later on, Stu will be happy to give us a heart-centered meditation. Okay. Jai Baba. I wanted to mention too that Goer Moabed, she's the daughter of Minu Karas. She's going to share the story of her father. He was one of Baba's mandali, early mandali, and then her own experiences of being with Baba and meeting Baba. And that's tonight at 10 o'clock after the arti. So that's, I'm going to interview her. That's kind of a little easier, more fun for her. Than she doesn't have to prepare something. Yeah. Bill had something there.
Yeah, Jeff, I have a song I'd like to share in honor of Thursday, which is Mara's Day, that very sacred Baba day in which Mara was reunited with her beloved Baba forever. And it's a song I'd like to do based on a dream I had, I would say within 24 hours of her passing. It wasn't the typical Mara dream of a wedding in heaven and flowers showering all around. It was very different. And I saw a Mara, this beautiful profile of Mara outlined against a background of like all the stars in the universe. And I had the feeling that you can now see the big picture. All the travail of all the souls going through everything they were going through. And the feeling in that dream was one of tremendous compassion and understanding. Yet at the same time, as she saw all these little worlds like turning around like planets and things, in her very childlike way, she was seeing them as little Christmas balls on a Christmas tree. So, and I woke up with this incredible feeling, I can't even describe it, and the words like were already planted in my mind with a tune. So many worlds like little balls, turning, turning. So this is the song. So many worlds like little balls, turning, turning. So many forms from oceans crawl, churning, churning. So many paths, so many ways, the ages pass, the nights, the days, till man is born, the crowning jewel, to walk upon this earth. So many words, your silence calls, yearning, yearning. So many deeds, we rise and fall, learning, learning. So many The wheel it spins, the soul it strives, till all is shed in love for you, and heart lies at your feet. So many loves, so many lives, the wheel it spins, the soul it strives, till all is shed in love for you, and heart lies at your feet, and heart lies at your feet.
Beautiful, Bill. Lovely.
Sort of like God speaks in 2 verses.
Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts anybody have? Anything? We're gonna, Stu will be back in a little bit. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to recommend an article. I don't know if the Maribaba Journal is online or not, but Adi wrote, and Darwin read this at a meeting one time, Adi wrote a wonderful article back in the 30s called Control, and talking about all this energy that anger and greed and lust stores up, and how we can transform that. So it's just a wonderful, it's just called Control by Adi, probably 1940 or 41 in the Maribaba Journals.
Ah. And yeah, we'll see see if that can be Googled. Yeah.
It can. You can get the whole thing. All the Maribaba Journal.
Where?
I don't know, PDF or whatever that is. Someone did it for me. But it's all online and it's nice. There's a lot of beautiful things besides Baba coming to Narena. Like a poem by Elizabeth Patterson and different things. It's quite wonderful.
Actually, the Meher Baba Journal in chronological order and dates, a lot of them have been scanned and PDF'd, and you can find it on Trust website, ambppct.org.
Ah, there you are.
There
Yeah.
are a lot of them there and amazing, yeah.
Let me ask Etzion, how is it there in Israel where you are?
It is, our city is very quiet.
Uh-huh.
It's
You mean
Haifa.
Haifa?
A northern city.
Yeah.
They had some, it's a mixed neighborhood. They live in a mixed neighborhood.
Yeah.
In our neighborhood, it was fairly quiet. Downtown, there were some riots, not so bad, like other places.
Yeah. Do you know Susan, do you know Karen Rice?
Yes.
She's from the center, she works at the center, but she's over there, and I think she's in Haifa visiting her parents and sister.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have any connection with her at the moment.
Yeah, with what?
I don't have a connection with her at the moment. I think I met her in the past.
Uh-huh. She's kind of younger, yeah. She's there. Well, Bill.
Yeah, Jeff, I recall, I think it was Jayashi was talking about praying for the people of India.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to let you all know, in terms of Ahmednagar, some of the districts and cities with which Bob is most affiliated, Ahmednagar and Nagpur and Nasik are some of the worst hit. And Nagar, which has a population of 350,000 people, has a 40% positivity rate, and at one point 1,000 people a day were getting ill Naga, they have a total shutdown there, including food stores, and they've been able to reduce it according to the district. This is just in the city to, I think, maybe 500 to 600 cases a day, and 22% positivity, which is still just, you know, and I think many of us who have walked the streets of Ahmednagar, and I know I've loved exploring the streets, and there's a big Baba family there, so something we could remember in our prayers, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's India's really way out of out of hand. So Stu, we'll give the floor to you.
Okay, Jay Baba. If we could all mute, that would be nice. And close your eyes and just settle into wherever you're sitting or laying. And we'll let the world drift away even a little more during this time. And start consciously breathing into your belly, breathing deeply. And now bring your attention to your heart and your heart space. And picture breathing into your heart. And just take note of whatever you might see and feel. And this is the home in all of us of Meher Baba's infinite love for us that keeps flowing 24 hours a day. It's a wine shop that's always open. So just settle into your heart and your heart space for a couple of moments. And now pick somebody, could be a person or a group, who you would like to focus on sharing Baba's infinite love with. And this is just sharing a gift. You're not trying to bring about any change in anybody, have any particular thing happen. But this practice of sharing love, sending it to someone's heart, can be incredibly effective in the case of conflict, either present, even past. It can be a wonderful thing to share the love with somebody you know is struggling in some way. And it can be wonderful just to share it in sending a gift, maybe somebody you already love or It just comes to you. So let your heart guide you who you choose. Just see who comes up. And get a good image of them in your heart and your mind. And picture their heart and their heart space. And take note of whatever you might see and feel as you do this and as you see them inside you. And now start to picture Meher Baba's infinite love, this flowing generously and givingly into their heart and their heart center. And flowing without end and filling every little bit of their heart. There's no corner not being touched by this love. And I see this warm, delicious, golden, liquid light of love that just keeps flowing generously. And it's soothing, calming, healing, uplifting, strengthening, enlightening, forgiving. This love is just flowing as a gift, and we never know what magic it might bring. And it does bring magic. And now see the love overflowing from their heart and their heart center and flowing gently but steadily, even right through their heart. And it's just cleansing, healing, giving. And now it's filling every bit of their being, every little corner. And keep breathing in as you see the flow of this infinite, unstoppable love. Well, let's take one more moment. Just sitting with this flow of love that has no end. And now let's give thanks for being able to focus on sharing Baba's infinite love. Know that you can return here again and again, anytime. And let's say farewell to whoever you have before you now, just for now. And now gently bring your attention back to your own heart and heart center. And breathe in as you settle in there. And take note of whatever you might see and feel. And now start to picture Baba's infinite love flowing into your heart. Just lovingly without end. And filling your heart and your heart center every little bit. And see this wonderful golden liquid of light, of love. And it's bringing soothing and healing. Uplifting, strengthening, enlightening, forgiving. And now see this love having filled your heart, now overflowing and flowing right through. And now filling every bit of your being. And it's touching and illuminating and bringing gifts to every bit of you. Let's take another moment with the flow of Baba's infinite love in our own hearts and our entire being. And now let's give thanks for being able to focus on the flow of Baba's infinite love in our own hearts and beings, and know that we can keep returning here again and again, anytime. There's no end and no limit to this love. And now start to gently bring your awareness back to wherever you're sitting or laying. And take a few moments to adjust. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And you can stay as you are, but if anybody would like to share anything, we'd like to hear you. Bill, is your hand up?
Not for this particular question. I was up for the last one when I made my last comment, but
Oh, okay.
actually, I would like to share that as I'm sitting here in meditation, about 3 houses up, there are 2 Syrian refugee families, and they're blasting this Arab pop music going through my ears, and it's kind of taking me a little bit to the Middle East as well as. It's really kind of fun. I mean, it makes me want to dance. I wouldn't want to dance during the meditation, though. They're great. They're great. Lots of kids running around playing. Wonderful families.
That's fun.
I'd like to share. I looked up during the Effort and Grace meeting, like we talk about sublimation, and then I think at the root of it, sublime. And sublimation seems like a difficult thing. Sublime seems like it's just crazy great, or that was sublime. And
Yeah.
sublime really is about raising it to the ecstatic and a really better state. And I would say the experience of receiving Baba's love from me was sublime. Like, you know, and the phrase was to, like, you know, that phrase where Mara loved Baba as he ought to be loved. I felt like Baba was loving me as I ought to be loved, and letting me know that that's what's coming in my life now, is being ready to receive love in that way. And when I felt like it was Baba loving me throughout everything, and that's what I'm ready to experience, being willing, that was sublime. I mean, just moved throughout my whole system, and I cried and I was thanking Baba. I could just feel him with me. So I'm all for sublime sublimation.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Cindy. Yeah, and wonderful picking out the word there.
Yeah, beautiful. Sublime is a reward for sublimation.
And I love the word sublime. I'll find I often refer to, say, well, like some of the quotes that Mahu puts up on her site there, May Her Awakening, and Rumi quotes. He'll often comment they're sublime. A great word. Yeah, Marcia. You're muted.
There's a lot of people around that are suffering and things going on all over, and I kind of took myself out of a lot of Zoom things and kind of walked around one-on-one with Baba. And at night I've been doing the heart meditation, and I'm wondering, is there a limit of how many people you can put in a group meditation at once? It's like it's got about 4, 5, 6 people getting in. It's getting bigger. But it's a wonderful meditation. It's like, whoa, I can start feeling that love too, you know. It's like, whoa, spacing out more somewhere. Yeah.
So you are feeling it?
A little bit, yeah. I'm going deeper, I think, you know, I don't know. So I'm not sure what's happening, but I like it. But I feel like Baba is the first cause. So sometimes when it's really wonderful having Zoom, but sometimes you have to zoom out and just be with Baba because it gets to be too much. Like, but I'm afraid to miss stuff too. You know, there's so many things. Thank God for YouTube, right?
Yeah, but wonderful that you're walking around relating to Baba, you know, carrying him with you, and you know, having your relationship with him, and doing the meditation. That's wonderful.
Well, I get up and I feel that same kind of thing that Jeff talks about. I kind of get up like, why am I feeling this way? And I just have to go through and trusting everything to Baba. Then I recite his name, and then I'm doing Satchinanda. I mean, I'm grabbing at everything. It's like,
Good.
whoa, what an interesting thing. What an interesting time, right? It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Whew. And you wish that everybody would have Baba like we do, because I think it makes it easier to deal with it. Because otherwise, people are being fearful, and you know, it's not good to feel that way. That Baba doesn't want you to feel that way. But sometimes if you can't tell people what to do or to feel what you're feeling, you know, so you got to kind of pray for them.
Yeah. No.
Everybody has their own path.
No, but you know, Marcia, since you moved out of your place to your new place, it's almost like a whole new life for you. I mean, you seem so much happier, you know, or so much whatever. Everything is richer, and you know, Baba did a nice thing there for you.
He did a upside down, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I'm 70, gonna be 75, and
yeah,
it's like he just took me out, and it took me 7 years for him to get me out of there. I'm like really lucky.
Hey, Jolie. There's Jolie right there.
Thank you.
How it down below? There's
Oh,
Jolie
wait,
and.
Liz. Hi, Jake and Katie. Mwah. And
Boy, Jolie's getting kind of big.
and Marcia, I wanted to say to you that I routinely have multiple people that I'm doing this heart-centered meditation with. Tonight it was only 2. It was a low night for me. So I always do multiple people for that.
I'm lining them up.
Yep. And then more will pop in, boom, 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 boom. I mean, Baba is like infinite, so he's really cool. Everyone's getting it every way. And I think like taking that step out that you said, I think that's so important to be able to, if we really want to serve humanity, if we get stuck in it, then, and we know Baba, like how are we, how can we be a Baba Center personified, radiating its eternal message of love divine if we don't have that space? So that's really beautiful, I thought, what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it really seems like the right thing for you to do, when you did it, or if you're still doing it, it seems like you're hearing your inner voice with Baba.
I'm going to go to your people. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good night and God bless. Thank you.
Bless you, Cindy.
Yeah, great to see you, Cindy. Love to Michelle.
Good night, everybody. I have to go.
Yeah, see you, Bill.
Hey, Baba.
Thanks for the music and your presence.
Hey, Baba.
Always, yeah.
You guys are all wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcia.
Oh, there's William. Yep. Yeah, no, it's we had this one remembrance of Mara today that was, I think, about 3 hours long. So it was, I think people, it went on for a good length. So
wow,
they.
Were you on for that?
Yeah, it was hard for me to stay that long, with all the other things. So, but it's hard. I mean, yeah.
No, and Mahu said it. There's so much being offered these days. It's a wealth of offering.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, we're going to get to the end of the mandali, or some of the, and it'll, all those things will lessen a little bit. Wow. In a little bit, I'm going to have to go to work. I got Peter Goodman is filling in for me. I don't know if it's that Peter right there. The one
I'm not sure. I know he does get on sometimes.
Yeah. It's Jan. Anything from your side?
My side, concerning the situation.
Yeah, and it's good to have you there in the middle of the chaos, just focused on Baba.
Baba trained me how to deal with this situation already from, I think, almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
How to deal with wars. And why there are wars?
How do you do with these kind of situations of conflict? I mean, how does it sit with you within? Are you pretty centered in Baba so that you're kind of keep your equilibrium, your equipoise?
Yes. The way it goes, it took me, of course, some time to learn how to do this. It started in the early 70s. I was in Wales, I was born actually into the war of 48. And since then, constantly wars, non-stop wars in Israel. There are not a day without some skirmish. Actually, it's 120 years already. And it seems that the extreme Islam, the militant Islam, cannot tolerate any country which is not pure Muslim. And they have to fight with it as long as it takes. And that's the core situation in here.
Yeah.
There will never be a resolution as long as this extreme notion of Islam prevails. It's not a problem. It's not a problem of land or borders. This can be settled very easily. They don't want any settlement. War till the end of time.
Yeah.
When they will finish Israel, which I don't think they will continue with the rest of the world. They have to take over the world, force everybody to bow to the green flag. As long as it takes another year, trillion years, they don't care. That's a Muslim agenda, so-called. Of course, it's a total twist of Muhammad teachings. He never meant such a thing.
Yeah.
We know Baba was a warlord, but in order to erase some scars, not to force anything.
Yeah, the jihad is supposed to be fighting your lower self within yourself, not an outer battle, you know. It gets...
This is a Sufi. That's Baba gave two messages. One to the people, because he couldn't stop them fighting. He couldn't stop the Arab tribes in constant battle, fighting between themselves non-stop for whatever reason. So he told them, if you cannot stop fighting, even he tried for 15 years to do something about this. If you cannot stop fight, at least fight for Allah. And for the Sufis, he said what you said, is that the real jihad is conquering the lower self. So he gave two messages.
Yeah.
He gave two messages to the populace. And this is one of the systems of lifting up people slowly from this ignorance and materialism towards spirituality. He personally decided, if it's true at all, it's better they will fight for Allah. They will not think about Allah or God at all.
Yeah,
that's
I know,
just a possibility.
Yeah. No, it's it just never seems to stop. But this is the Kali Yuga. This is the winter of the world. And what Baba said, 75% selfishness, 25% selflessness. You know?
Optimistic. 25 selflessness, or maybe 0.5%.
It never gets to be 100% selflessness, Baba said. Never does.
The economy will be boring.
Yeah. We would all be gone, yeah.
No. We become happy zombies.
Yeah. So Stu, I better go because I'm going to go down to work. But Etzion, always great to see you. Janet, to see what Janet, she's still.
No, I was just enjoying listening to Etzion speak and understanding things from his perspective. So
yeah.
Otherwise, thank you guys, everybody. Appreciate it. Appreciate you doing this every week. It's powerful. It has powerful effects. So thank you.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
Yeah. Lanita, wonder she's
quiet.
She's quiet, and we got couple of Peters. But I guess, oh, hey, Lenita.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted. You're a mutant. There you go.
I still in the meditation wave.
Yeah.
You know, I can't get out.
Oh, he has a counter meditation that'll bring you down.
Nah, nah, just leave them up there.
It's so good to have Baba's love in my heart and giving to people, you know, to everybody, you know, that I can think of.
Yeah.
Just let the Baba love go through people. It's such a good feeling, you know, in my heart and my soul. And I just feel like I'm doing something for others.
Yeah, beautiful.
And yeah, I follow a little bit the Effort and Grace today.
There's
I went to this
Goer Mobed is going to share
tonight. Yeah,
tonight. Yeah, just to
she's
let you
going
know.
to say something because I saw her last week. She's going to talk about something else.
Well, her father was one of the Mandali.
Yeah.
So you'll get a kind of flavor of what it's like, what future Mandali are like in childhood.
He's gone, right? Her father,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
She's there. She lives in Maribor.
No, she lives in Florida now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna ask her some question tonight.
Yeah, have them ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, always great to see you. And
I don't say much, but I'm listening. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Good to have you here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I you know, it's a lot to take in, you know, and sometimes I don't have the words to yeah. But thank you, Stu.
Yeah. Thank you, Stu. Also, I think I better pack up my, my
your baton,
my belongings, and head down to the center. I go from here to the center now.
Yeah.
But Jeff, I just want to say one thing. Don't go yet. One little thing, very fast.
Yeah.
So I meditate on Baba's picture this morning. You know, sometimes I just look the picture. I try not to think about anything, not ask anything, just stay there, you know, with his face, you know, concentrate.
Yeah.
And sometimes he says something back to me, sometimes he doesn't. I don't expect any response or anything from him. But this morning, he said something very clear. He said, "Do not judge."
Mm.
And it was good for me at this moment because I needed that advice.
Yeah, no, it's
the hardest thing to do, you know, do not judge. It's so difficult, you know, because next thing I know, I'm judging it in the simple things, you know, during the day or with people, with friends, you know. Next thing I know, you know, I put in some judgment there, you know. So Baba wants me to be aware of this.
I think of it as the curse of Baba lovers. They have a lot of love, and they know how love looks, and then you look out at the world, and it's falling short here and there, even among your fellow Baba people. It's very hard not to be critical or judgmental.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, it's very hard, and to justify it makes it worse. You know, you might judge somebody, but justifying it perpetuates it, because then it's an attitude. It's not just the emotion of judgment, but then there's the attitude of the judgment.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I mean, I had to lower my expectations, lower and lower and lower and lower of my fellow beings. If I was going to enjoy the company of my fellow beings, I had to trash almost all my expectations.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. No
It
expectation.
took me about 20 years, just to get to a better place with all of that.
Especially you, because you deal with a lot of people, you know. It's hard. Okay.
Good.
Good night, everyone. See you later.
Okay.
Always
See you
nice.
later.
Take care.
Could you say hello? Bye. Thank you, Jay Meher Baba.
Jai Baba.
Hey,
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
And hello, Peter. And I'm gonna give me a call one of these days.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, much love, you guys.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah, maybe I'll-
Take care.
Yeah, thank you, Stu. Always. Yeah.
Yeah. You too, Jeff.
Yeah. Jay Baba.
Jai Baba.
Bye. Jay Baba.
Okay, good night.